Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool car.
Whoa.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Afe.
Hey, Ave, good to see you. We're here in beautiful Beijing, China, and today we have the #1 by Smart. This is a cooperation between Geely and Mercedes. You can see the headlights there, that EQ family look, and the interior definitely speaks of the European design and the beauty that they have been able to put into it. Now, super excited to test this car out, so let's give it a try. If you guys like our videos, please don't forget to hit that like button. Please leave us a comment, that will always help us drive traffic. The base model, which is called the Pro, will set you back about 26,000 USD. The Premium, the top model, will set you back 35,500 USD. We have the Premium #1 with us today. So that features a 560 kilometer range, or 350 miles for those of us who don't use kilometers. And it has a 66 kilowatt hour ternary lithium battery in it, and a single motor which outputs 268 horsepower, which makes it quite nimble for its size. 2.7 meter wheelbase, the longest wheelbase in this car category. There are 11 colors that you can choose from, so please get any color but this one. There are also these fancy frameless windows, which look great. 19-inch rims, although they look great, they do kind of remind me of a Pansy. An illuminated logo on the seat pillar. The outside of the #Smart is something that I think is a little bit polarizing. I think the people who like it are going to really, really like it. And the people who don't like it, I think they're not going to really be that interested in it. And that's fine, because I like it. I think that overall the design has some really interesting aesthetics. There are definitely some design aspects that make you think of Mercedes, such as the EQS family headlights. Other than that, there is some other design features that I definitely want to take note of. The front of the car continues around here and then follows this nice seamless line all the way to the back. This is almost boat-like and something that I definitely appreciate. The front air intake, both here and here, help with the car's overall low drag coefficient. And this also looks good. So one of the things that gives you all that headspace is the height of the car. And another thing is the riding height, which is a little higher than a normal hatchback. So while this isn't the most pleasant looking, it does have a low drag efficient, and overall, I think the design is quite pleasing. Driving the Smart, there's not anything overall that really does extremely well in the way that it just makes me want to praise it, and be excited about it. Although I would call it nimble, it does not want to go really, really, really fast, but it is something that if you need to go in and out of traffic, or you need to speed up to do a lane merge, it is capable of doing those things. The other thing that I definitely want to mention is the suspension. The suspension did not give me the most soft feel. You do get more of the road feeling out of the drive. And it's not something that I would say is uncomfortable, but it is something where it definitely could be softer. So that is one thing to take note of. After driving this car, we're going to talk about the interior for a second, and what I've got to say about it is that it is beautiful. So I think the design on this has been like a form and function design. First, you have the driver's heads-up display, which is right in front of you in the windshield. That's a really nice feature, tells you how fast you're going, a little bit of other information. And then you have a screen right below the steering wheel right here, which tells you just a little minimum of things that you need to know when you're driving, the time, how fast you're going, what your range is. And these things are really useful. In other vehicles, this is bigger. And what I really like about this is small, so the driver's wheel doesn't actually occlude your vision for this. And it being small means it's not something that's like obstructing your view when you're driving or distracting. This giant screen here in the middle is really useful, intuitive. You can change everything, go to your apps. The steering wheel is well executed. It is black leather with white stitching. It both looks good and feels good to put your hands on. It has a flat bottom to make it have a little bit more of a sporty look. There are buttons and silver trim on the left and right side. So voice recognition features, telling the car where you want to go, and some other things like that. As well as in China, you can instantly pull up WeChat or messaging in any other other country. So overall, some convenient features, some good quality of life features in the steering wheel, and it's not overdone. It has good form and function, kind of like the rest of the car. Next generation approach to the home screen with this fancy Fox sitting right here. 13 speakers powered by Beats, and boy, do they rock. Middle console here has a space where if you want to keep some drinks cold or store something, you can put cold air on and off. Leather seats, and of course a leather steering wheel. So there are a couple of notable things to mention about the back seat. For one, due to this being the longest wheelbase, there is a ton of room in the cabin. So that means for a big guy like me, there is room for my head here. The back seat is slightly tilted up, and due to that tilt, you've got a little bit more support for your legs. And of course, because there's a lot of room in the cabin, I've got a lot more leg room here than I would really normally expect from a smaller car like this. There is a truly massive sunroof that is absolutely beautiful. So with all that space in the back seat, there are some compromises on the trunk, or the boot, as some people like to say. And that compromise is it is 273 liters or small. If you really need some space, these seats are able to be folded down, and that expands up to 1,000 liters or a lot of space. 273, 1,000. Among all the things that we've talked about, there are 3 things we like and 3 things we don't like. We're going to talk about those now. So one of the things that we like that definitely has to be talked about is just the overall design of the car. There are so many little tiny features and little tiny aspects of the car that just give it this overall well-designed feeling. Another thing that we like in the car is the lighting that's in the interior. And this is RGB lighting that is not messy, that is well executed, but lights up in a way that provides you with a good form and good function. And the function, for example, is there is a light behind the speaker that actually lights up as a warning light to tell you when there's a car in your blind spot. So the other thing that we like about this car is that usually the back seat and the back is a place that doesn't have a lot of flexibility. These seats fold, they are adjustable back and forth, and they provide you with a lot more flexibility if you need to take your bicycle or fit a lot of things in the back. So one thing that we didn't like was the door handles. The door handles are completely flat at the top. You must pull them from the bottom, and they work, but they're just a little bit inconvenient. And 2 of the things that we didn't like came from the same things. First of all, I think it's a little too vertical. I think that it could be more in line with the dash and thus look a little bit more in line with the surroundings. As it is, it actually blocks just a little bit of your view of both the dash and the outside. The other thing that I didn't like was the actual interface itself. You can swipe, go to your apps, do stuff like that. It's not terrible, but there is room for improvement. There's this big world here in the middle, and it's got a button on it that says go home, but it's not interactable. And it just seems like it's taking up a lot of space without actually doing much, which kind of takes away a bit of its function. Also, the voice assistant, probably not the most useful it could be at the time. And just some of the layout here is more busy than it is good.
Wow,
yeah.
What a cool car.
Whoa.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Afe.
Hey, Ave, good to see you. What do you think about the screen?
I think it's big enough, but maybe too big.
Yeah, I think it kind of gets in the way. There's this beautiful dash here with all these nice clean lines, and then there's just this big screen.
Have you ever tried the audio control?
I have. The audio control works good. The one thing I will say is you have to kind of dig in here for the apps and dig into the settings to change anything, and that is a little bit annoying. Yes. So I think it has room for improvement, but hey, it's a screen. They can just send an update to make it better.
So you just prefer the real button?
Oh yeah, definitely prefer buttons over a screen. Thanks, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.